Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Books and Buds, where we discuss the two greatest things on earth, books and buds. The reason I pulled this one out today is because my buddy Sam Phillips, he asked me to read his novella in here a long time ago, and I got way overwhelmed with my to-be-read list, and I just haven't gotten to it. And he even asked me about a month or two ago if I had gotten to it yet. It's just been awful of me, but I have not. So I am reading it now. So I will have a review up for his book. In this one, it's titled Into the Eye. I will have that one up as soon as I can, Sam, if you're listening. Sorry about that. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today we're here to talk about Dani by Angelique Jordonna. And before we get into that, I just really wanted to quickly show you guys the very next run that we're trimming next week. We'll be trimming it on Wednesday, December 16th, 2020. And I'm just excited to pieces to show it to you. You can see why I was so excited to show it to you. So, on to Dani by Angelique Jordonna. I'm going to roll up a joint of some Jilly Bean too while I'm at it, because Jilly Bean's awesome. It's pretty much the strain that started it all for us when we were first started seeking out seeds to try to find out what worked and what didn't. You know, a lot of things just didn't turn out so great. A lot of things hermied on us. Just a lot of things didn't grow properly. But Jilly was the very first one. And all of a sudden, everything started working out, and we owe it all to Jilly Bean. So, we always like to keep her on going, just because of that reason. It's a nostalgia thing at this point. Some customers like it, some customers don't like it as much, but we keep it around regardless. It's just an old favorite. Alright, so this book, Dani, it deals with a serial killer. Our protagonist, Dani, she's, I think she was 25-year-old serial murderer, lives on her own. Her parents are very abusive and left her alone with a lake house when they were very young. They died tragically. Well, in her case, not too tragically. It worked out very well for her because she got the house. She's been living alone for a long time. They're very abusive towards her. The father, we get a little backstory in there because it turns out she was a lesbian and she kissed the next door neighbor. Or at that age, I guess, when she was going to the back store, she didn't know if she was a lesbian or not. She was just exploring her sexuality, and she ended up kissing the next door neighbor, and confused, she decided to approach her father about it, and he promptly beat her senseless. Then when she went to her mother to try to get some sense of protection under her roof, the mother agreed with the father, pretty much called her a whore and everything else under the book, just nasty backstory and everything else. But we kind of get an idea of what might have led to our main character, Dani, becoming a serial murderer. So, as I've mentioned in several other of my previous videos, I've even done 2 reviews for him. Richard Lehman is my absolute favorite horror novelist. Of all the genre fictions, horror is my favorite. My favorite is literary, but horror is my favorite of all your commercial fiction. And Richard Lehman, in my opinion, happens to be the king of them. He is the king of horror, and he is just so nasty. He's so graphic in all of his details that he gives you on the way characters are dying and all the violence they endure. It's very hard for someone to compete with him. Well, Angelique Jordonna tried in this book, Dani. Now, the very beginning, it's not a spoiler, because it happens right away. She goes ahead and she brings a girl home. Now, what she does is she drugs the girl and she gets there, and then the girl's unable to do anything. She's unable to move, unable to protect herself. She brings her down to this basement and lays her on this examining table or something like that. And very meticulously uses a scalpel to completely skin her perfectly so she can discard of the body and then slip into the girl's skin completely wrapped in the girl's body. And she leaves the blood in there and everything. She likes the feeling of blood. She's got a bloodlust. And she ends up falling asleep in this girl's skin. So then we go through the details of her disposing of the body. She's got this grinder that her father helped her make when he was still alive. She chops up these things with this electric saw she has, and she chops up all the body parts, sticks in this grinder, and that's how she's able to discard of the bodies into the lake. So, a couple chapters later, again, this is happening right away, so I don't feel like I'm doing any spoilers. Angelique just gives us a good introduction of who this person is and how nasty she is. So, she ends up going out and finding a guy. Now, she had built this machine, and then in her basement, and she's about to show us how it works. So She brings this guy home, the promise is sex, and he's pretty arrogant, so it's not too bad. You kind of feel like, at least she's killing a jerk. So she drugs this dude, and what she does is she gets him in this machine, and it lifts over her, so she's got a tarp laid out in the basement, and she lays on the tarp, and then she pushes a button, and these spikes, they start slowly coming down this guy, and it causes like a bunch of like small little stab wounds inside this guy's flesh, so it pierces him, and she gets rained on, a shower of blood, and she's just an absolute bliss in heaven. Like I said, she's got a bloodlust. She's a pretty cold serial murderer. So anyways, the plot thickens when she goes out next, and she meets this woman named Lyric. Now she meets Lyric, and it is basically love at first sight for both of them. So this kind of quickly turns into a romance. It's like a horror/romance novel. Very interesting. And the problem is she's not sure she can control her urges around this girl Lyric. So all of a sudden we got a pretty good plot here. We got a good plot of a serial murderer who's in love. Now to add a little bit of problems to this, Lyric's roommate Emma is incredibly jealous, and she doesn't want anyone going anywhere near her friend Lyric. She wants her all to herself. Causes a lot of problems with Dani. Now I won't go into detail on how these problems are solved, but they come to a head at the end of the book, right after Lyric and Dani, because they're getting serious at this point. They go and they meet Lyric's family, so they go shopping and all this stuff. She gets to meet the mother and the father, and the sister has a crush on Dani too. She slaps her butt on a couple occasions and says, "If my sister don't treat you right, I'm taking you home." Pretty flirtatious family. Anyways, they get back, and the altercation with Emma takes place, and it's something else. I don't want to give away too much, but let's just say that these two girls are destined to be together, Lyric and Dani, by the way they handle the situation. Now, I like the book because, like I said, I like horror, and I like graphic horror. I'm a fan of Stephen King because he writes a very good tale, but people like him, and I guess your Anne Rice's, and sometimes your Dean Koontz, they don't really write the graphic stuff. They just give you a good, solid horror story that you can read to your kids at a campfire or something like that. Well, not Angelique. Angelique wrote a pretty gritty one, so that's one of the things I like. One of the things I don't like about the book... One second. So one of the things that I didn't like about the book was I felt that she rushed it. I felt that we could have got about twice the length of the book in there. But I constantly say that about independent writers. I really wish that they would take more time to dive into the novel more. Now, I also started reading one by this man named Glenn Dahlgren. Now, he wrote The Child of Chaos. And according to some of the people that I work with and deal with in my inner writer circles, he's one of these guys that actually fleshed out a good story. So he's kind of like David Bowmore, too, because he wrote that collection that I don't stop talking about called Magic of Devon Market. He also put a lot of detail in there and fleshed out great characters, really put you into the setting, really put you into the story. A lot of independent authors are unable to do that. And I think that Angelique could have worked a little harder on developing more of a character background, a more 3D character, put me into the setting a little bit more. She didn't really describe smells, scents, sights, the way anything felt. She didn't really put you in the story as much as I would have liked her to have been. But I liked the story so much that I'm going to go ahead after this review and I'm going to go on Amazon. I'm going to give her 4 out of 5 stars because the story was just fun. You know, so not everything has to be literary. Not everything has to be that detail orientated. As long as it's a fun and good story that keeps you turning the pages, and that's exactly what Angelique did. She kept me turning the pages. So that's my only criticism of it. I wish that it could have been a little longer. I wish she could have fleshed out the characters a little more. Other than that, she did a fantastic job. So gang, I'm going to light this joint, and I'm going to go write that review I told you about. So hey, I'm going to leave a description for this book and a link for it in the description below. And I'm also going to leave a link for Love Askew down in the description below. Please click on that. It's only 99 cents to pre-order right now. There's 30 novels and novelettes in it, including my very own, titled Echoes of Yesterday. I think it's called Echoes of Yesterday now. It's 32,000 words, so you get to check out if I suck. Maybe I don't do my characters as well as you'd like. Maybe I don't do my settings as much as you like. Finish reading it. Leave your feelings about the book in the comments and do your own review video. Tell everyone how much you hate me. I don't mind. Alright, I'm going to spark this up and leave a review for Angelique. We'll talk to you guys soon.